at our fertility clinic, there is a certain list of donor sites that our clinic specifically uses.
Yeah, so we started scrolling through, very limited information initially.
Initially, yep.
You know, like hair color, eye color, height, and then it was like, do you want to buy this profile? It's
Yes.
like, wow, that's all I get? And
Yeah.
then you have to decide if you want to open up some more information. For me, that process was pretty stressful.
Mm-hmm. It is stressful because you're picking the what the baby's gonna look like.
Half of what they're gonna look like, their genetics. It's just a lot of stress and pressure.
Mm-hmm. So I remember one of the first things Cindy said was, can I say
Physically? Or?
Yeah, physically.
Oh, sure.
You're like, oh, well, he has to be tall. He has to be over 6 foot. I'm like, Cindy, what? 6 foot? Because we're trying to have a D1 athlete here. so Cindy's like, okay, over 6'1". And I'm like, no, who cares? But the one that we chose actually is over 6 foot, so that's kind of cool.
Characteristics wise, I was hoping, into similar things like being active.
Mm-hmm,
That's a huge part of our life. We like hiking, being outdoors, but also just like those intrinsic factors of being caring, compassionate.
And it took a while for us to find a donor that we felt comfortable with. But what's funny is that the very first donor that we looked at, like the very first one we clicked and we opened, we were like, all right, we love him. Let's keep him in the back of our mind. We ended up looking at hundreds and hundreds of other ones. But the first one we picked is the one we're going with.
We keep going back
to him. He just has so many qualities that we're looking for and looks identical to me, which is weird, very crazy. But the donor catalogs are also fun. That was fun. I don't know. We were having fun. I had fun. I was like, nope.
And I'm like, stress.
Yeah. I think after we have a baby, our life will change quite a bit. I think there are some parts that will stay the same. Just the love that we have in our home will grow, if not stay the same. The way that we treat each other and love each other, that will never change. But I think our sleep schedules will be changing. Our work schedules will be changing.
Just kind of shifting our priorities.
Yeah, exactly.
Right now, our main priority is having a baby, and so just making that our number one priority.
And then
getting married.
Yeah.
That's one of our steps before having our baby, is just getting married, getting more established, combining kind of the last bit of our life together.
Mm-hmm.
And we start thinking and planning on how, we're going to spend our time caring for an infant.
Mm-hmm.
And
yeah, how are we going to do it?
Like when I run off to my sports. And,
oh, yes.
And you're like, well, what's going to happen when you have the baby? Bring them with me.
Bring them with you. Going to basketball.
They're going to basketball.
So while we were still at the hospital from the egg retrieval, and they had been looking, I think even when we were still there, they decided to freeze my eggs.
Yeah.
They were like, this isn't working, there are no sperm here. We can, revisit
There are
this.
no sperm here.
We can revisit this in the future, but our best option right now is to freeze the eggs,
Yeah.
since we can't do anything with them right now.
Yeah.
So we froze the eggs that day and had a call with our doctor a couple weeks later to come up with a game plan for how we're gonna get Shane's sperm better to, actually.
How we're gonna get Shane's sperm.
Period.
And it felt, jumping into that meeting, it felt like there were no options, but our doctor did have some ideas, and we came up with a plan for my treatment that should hopefully improve my numbers enough to make this work.
Mm-hmm.
So we began that. It's mostly like lifestyle stuff that we're adjusting, and we're testing my sperm every month now to see like how the numbers are changing, and we're taking it, day by day. Hi everyone.
Hello.
Welcome back to another episode of JoJo Mayhem.
We're back.
Hannah, what are we talking about today?
We are answering some questions that people have sent in.
Oh my gosh. This is going to be really fun.
Yeah, we had our 3-month check of Shane's sperm a couple days ago, and so now we're waiting for those results to see if they've gotten any
Like
better.
any minute my phone should ring and we'll find out. So, and then we have a big decision to make if it's not effective or if it is. So, another looming decision to make. But if IVF has taught us anything, it's that like we can weather anything together. We are very used to receiving and accepting bad news together, and dealing with it and developing a plan that we're comfortable with.
I think our main thing right now is just making sure that we're enjoying other aspects of our life, and not like making sure this isn't all encompassing and that we're not just waiting every day for Shane's sperm to improve so that we can move on. We're continuing to make plans and live our life so that this isn't the only thing that's going on.
In the future, I hope that we are done with IVF.
Yeah.
I hope that, or I imagine that our treatment will be successful and that we'll have a child or two, and that we'll be doing what we do now, which is loving our life together with the added joy of children in the mix that we can bring into our life with us.
Yeah, I think one way or another we'll have kids, eventually in some way. So I'm excited for that. And I also just picture our life together and how, we'll be doing what we do now and enjoying traveling together and, working together and doing all the stuff that we do now.
I'm really excited for when our kid realizes that they can ride on my chair. It's gonna be so fun.
That's my spot, so sorry, no can do.
Uh-oh.
So at my first 8-week appointment at the OB, I was nervous going in because it's my first appointment leaving the fertility clinic. But once I got there and we had the ultrasound, I was very happy to see that the baby was still there. So I just got back into the car from my OB appointment and everything looks amazing. Let me show you. Hold on. Wait. So there's my little nugget, or our little nugget. Still healthy, the heartbeat was strong, and at that moment, the only thing I could think about was getting home and telling Alex. I'm on my way home now. Hopefully Alex will be home soon and I can share the news with him because I am just bursting to tell him. Oh my gosh. All right, bye.
I remember getting a phone call saying, I need to talk to you when you get home. And I'm like, I hope that's good. But yeah, you were really excited.
Yeah.
And debriefed me on a whole lot of stuff when we got home.
Mm-hmm.
Whole lot. Like, baby's doing great, looks bigger, heartbeat stronger.
Mm-hmm.
And now here's all the other stuff you need to know.
Exactly.
And went right into it.
Exactly. My only goal in sharing our story is that someone else will hear it and resonate with it. They'll understand more about what IVF can look like for someone going through it, what infertility can look like for someone. Maybe have more compassion for someone that's going through it and understanding.
Yeah, I think it's just more providing more awareness. What we lacked when we went into it the first time, we didn't know where to turn. We didn't even know what was accurate when we saw it online. There wasn't a whole lot of representation. It was something you kind of kept to yourself.
Mm-hmm.
So I think the goal would be to at least help other people find, answers or just comfort in what they're going through. Some kind of guidance, like you said.
I mean, if you think about it, it's kind of crazy. Like, we started IVF 4 or 5 years ago?
Yeah.
And back then, no one was really talking about it. It was kind of like a taboo conversation to have. Everyone keeps infertility or miscarriage to themselves, which is fine. It's, very personal. But if we're comfortable in sharing our story, we're happy to do so, just so other people could know that, they're not alone.
I started just kind of ghost following some accounts that I found through just searching on Instagram, like hashtag IVF. And I started to realize there was this community that I had no idea existed. I made some relationships via private messaging, and I was kind of encouraged to make an account so that I could be more fully involved. It's probably one of the most beautiful things I've experienced, not just on the infertility side of things, but just in my life. So many people, so many people just wanting to hold each other up. Can be a really, really positive space. Initially, I lived for that space. My intention was never to create a community. It was to be part of the community and to get support, because I felt so alone. And I really got that more than I ever thought that I would, and have since made friendships that will, I think, stand the test of time. Really, really important relationships. But equally, social media can be kind of a dangerous place for somebody who's in a really vulnerable position, like we've been in. And 3 years into having this account, I've watched most people that I have connected with move on. You take the journey with you because it's part of who you are, but they're parents now, or they're pregnant now, and we're not. And that becomes hard because as everybody moves through their life, suddenly my feed is mostly babies, mostly pregnancy announcements. I would be considered in the community, or we would be considered in the community, to be quote unquote infertility long haulers, IVF long haulers. It's not a club I like to be a part of. And I think the only way to change infertility from being a taboo subject is to talk about it and create noise around it. And the more we talk about it, then the more normalized it is. And I've seen it happening. I've witnessed it happening. Yeah. And especially with surrogacy, I've witnessed it happening.
I think more generally too, you see the diversity of people's experience,
yeah.
right? Including our own, right? If we share our story, or Monica shares her story, my story is different, right? My experience is different. And so is the experience of every single person who goes through this process. And the more diversity of experience we have and we can share via social media and other channels, the more awareness we can drive.
I think it's important for us, as we consider the possibility of being parents in the future, that we don't carry the loss and the hardships that we've experienced through our infertility journey into parenthood, because I think that's a real possibility. And so we do actively consider, making sure that we do as much work internally and together to make sure that if and when we are blessed with a child, in whatever way that comes to us, that we're ready to take on parenthood in a healthy way, as best as we can anyway.
Yeah.
Infertility is swimming upstream, against the current, trying to reach your favorite beach. It's constantly fighting against your diagnosis, against time, against setbacks and unforeseen roadblocks. You make forward progress only to have the current sweep you back. It's watching your fellow swimmers one by one emerge from the river and lounge in the sun. Some throw you a lifeline, some cheer you on. Some turn their backs, and some holler, "Just go to a different beach. Maybe you aren't meant to reach this beach," all while looking on as you continue to fight, stroke after stroke after stroke. It's exhausting. You catch your breath for a moment, think you're almost there, then suddenly you're caught up in the waves and the churning of the water. One day, I'm going to reach that shore, catch my breath, and get out of the water. It may not be pretty, and I may not arrive at the beach I originally aimed for. But the sunlight will warm my body, and I will dry off. I'll look back at the speed of the water and marvel at what I overcame. But for now, as long as I'm willing and able, I'll just keep swimming.